Live with the insight you need from the financials and political capitals of the world to the heart of innovation. This is Opportunities to Consider with your host, author, speaker, and corporate strategist, Hunter Gaylor.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Markets Hunter. I am your host, Hunter Gaylor, and today we are in the middle of the start of Q2. This is April. We are just in the middle of a lot of exciting corporate developments that are going on across many companies that we've been following. And today we're going to be joined by John here in a second, who's the current CEO of PETV Holdings, which we have talked in numerous length, especially with a lot of the individuals of his team and everything. So we're going to be getting an update because there's some really exciting news coming out about his company, which we're excited. But before we get into that, let me just remind everyone, you can find us on YouTube at the Markets Hunter platform. You can also find us on Twitter, LinkedIn. We're coming to you Twitch. We're going to be launching Roku very shortly. And our audience is growing, and we're really happy with where we're seeing the platform go. So make sure you like and subscribe and share. And of course, all links to all the interviews that we talk that we discuss here and with the companies are all listed below in the descriptions on all of the platforms as well. And on Twitter, we tag all of the companies. So make sure you follow, like, and subscribe to the companies that we speak to as well. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in John. John, how are you today?
Good, Hunter. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining the Markets Hunter program. We've got a lot of exciting stuff that we're going to be covering today. I want to dive right into it, John. We've been following PETV for some time now. We've seen some incredible developments, and we saw the recent study that can come out. Can you talk a little bit about the study that recently came out, which we spoke about last time? As a result of that study being published now, what any type of growth or momentum are we seeing as a result of that?
Well, we have put together a really good marketing strategy using the data within the study and for the small animals, for dogs specifically. So we started launching it through our distribution partner, MWI. They have helped us target trade shows and vets that are going to be attending those shows, informing them, we have this data now, please come visit the PETV booth or the MWI booth. So we've had another show last week that we did have very good turnout, and it helped that we were the platinum sponsor of Dr. Jamie Gaynor, who was talking about pain management. He's one of the top pain management doctors around. And so that was very helpful to have him speak about spring and his use of spring, because every time that happens, and that was one of our goals, was to increase podium presentations, but you can only do that when you have data. So we got 6 more studies coming here in the next 9 months that will get presented at various trade shows that will really help drive the small animal side. So you'll see the mix of revenues changing from probably 90-95% equine to more canine over time.
And John, obviously we've talked about dogs. Are we going to see any studies come out with regards to, on the feline side of things, cats?
Yes, the cat study, we've been told we're accepted at the top feline journal and conference to present that and also hopefully have it published in their journal. So that's coming up, I think, September. So our people are at shows every week. So Right. It's hard for me to memorize it off the top of my head, but I know everything is coming up pretty fast. A lot of catalysts to create interest.
Okay, well, that's good because I know a lot of our audience members have been excited about the dogs, but also the ones that own cats are very interested about the cats as well. So that's good. We'll keep an eye out for that in September. Now, John, I want to move over a little bit to the veterinarian side of things. You just recently, a few seconds ago, spoke about the pain management aspect. And if you remember last time, we had a veterinarian on talking specifically about pain management. With the trade shows and the recent studies, and obviously having the caliber of these veterinarians speak about it, are we seeing an increase of veterinarians requesting information about this because of the pain management?
Absolutely, absolutely. That last trade show on pain management in Atlanta, we had tremendous turnout of the vets that were at the show. Uh, if I had to guess a number, 75% of the vets or vet techs that were there came by to request information or ask questions.
Whoa, that's a really good number, above 75%. So that really means it's taking hold and the messaging is working. So that's exciting. Uh, let's shift a little bit while we have you today to more on the corporate side. Recently, you had a press release came out where you announced a new addition to your board, and I just want to make sure that I have the name right and I don't butcher it. So we're just going to use his first name, Spencer. Okay, and the last
Spencer, bright up.
Brett up. Okay,
Yeah,
Spencer
bright up, bright up.
Bright up.
Like
Spencer,
bright and up, but you got to say it fast. I
yeah,
know it's a tough one. I have a hard time with it.
yeah. Spencer Bright up. Well, Spencer, if you're
There you
listening,
go.
we apologize, but thank you for being on the board. So, John, how did you come across Spencer? We read a little bit about his bio and his experience. Incredible from the company that he's coming from, multi-billion-dollar company that he recently was involved with, and now he's coming over from a board level position within PetVivo and PetVivo Holdings. Can you tell us a little bit about his corporate background? What led you to vice versa? What led you to him? What led him to you? And then what do you see his expertise contributing to the strategic growth and development of PetVivo?
Sure. So before I answer that one, let me talk a little bit about the marketing. So we started commercials at
Okay.
the bus stops and dog parks in New York City because
Yeah.
we signed up quite a few small animal vets because of that study from Ethos. So we said this is the right time to pull the trigger. So it'll be interesting to see there's a lot of dogs in New York City, especially by dog parks in Bryant Park and Central Park. So our commercials will be running there. Now back to Spencer. So Spencer was the basically VP of sales and supply chain for MWI. MWI is our exclusive distributor. So he gets to see the traction. And so he retired at the end of 2022. And having conversation with him for a while, his wife made him not to allow him to take anything on until May 1st. But he said, I think she's going to be okay with 2 weeks because he had just built a new house with his wife and they wanted to relax. Well, he started, he knows the opportunity. He's the one that negotiated the exclusive deal with us, and he sees the continuing numbers within the MWI and so on. But prior to that, he was with multiple other pharmaceutical companies. On the human side. So he has 30 years in the veterinary side, but prior to that, he had quite a few years on the human side. So we feel he'll be very valuable on giving the board a second opinion on our sales marketing strategy, but also be able to guide us into um, the workings within MWI and going into other areas as we move new products into the pipeline.
Well, and I think it's very interesting that, given his background and the fact now he's sitting on your board, is a continuing testament to the positive growth that PetVivo is experiencing, and especially with MWI. And I know that we had a chance to sit down with some other executives in your organization and talk about the marketing. And I think it's great news about the bus stops and the billboards and some of these things that are going on. So I think that's really going to start raising awareness for pet owners and the opportunities that are out there for it, really extending the longevity and and pain management of the pets, which is really incredible.
So keep in mind also, Spencer sits as chairman of the technology corridor in Overland and Kansas City. So there's probably 26 animal health, pharmaceutical, technology, biotech companies in that area. So it speaks volumes, I think, for him to be on our board.
Yeah, well, anytime that an individual presents themselves in such a way that they see the value of a company and wants to lend their name, talents, resources, and network to an organization speaks volumes. And we are seeing, in the stock, John, we're seeing a lot increased volume. We're really seeing it start to get some legs and some traction. And I think with some of the upcoming news, we're going to have some finance guys on the show later on this week, where we're going to be more breaking down the stocks from an actual market perspective, which will be very interesting to follow. But we always look at the fundamentals of the company and the leadership and what goes into actually implementing the vision into practicality to actually help a company grow. John, just one final question. We know that the cat study's coming out, and we know that we've got some more studies coming out, and you're constantly out at all of these trade shows and at all of these events. Are there any noteworthy events that are going to be taking place, or keynotes that you're going to be giving or speaking at, that you want our audience to either tune into or try to, if they're in the area, attend?
Well, most of these are for veterinary doctors and vet techs, so very few of them are public.
Mm,
So I think the next public one, you're probably looking at next year, early next year. so so the big one for us coming up in San Diego is the American Association of Equine Practitioners, because we have so many of those vets that are part of that organization that have been getting great success. So that show is what launched our product back in December of 2021. And last year, in November of 2021, this is when it really started to pick up with MWI and us of pushing the product out. So we will have a big presence there and a lot of good communication and podium presentation. So I see that as a big catalyst show that will even accelerate the equine adoption.
Well, and John, I want to just kind of go back in history real quick for the viewing audience, and that is because you were able to get all the approvals and all the FDA approvals, is because you started this product not in the animal space, right? It started in the human space, and I want people to understand that to really create a foundation to where the future of the company can go from a market perspective. You're looking at something that moving into the equestrine, then into your dogs and cats, and then potentially here into the future into humans. Correct?
Yes, so there was 8 million granted to us from NIH, and this science was developed at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. And so we have a lot of human data. And when you look at investing in medical, biotech, medical devices, the biggest risk is the FDA risk. In
Right.
our case, because on the human side, we have the designation as a human medical device, that means you don't have to do phase 3 of the trials, and that saves you a lot of money and time. But because of that designation, the animal side automatically declares you as a veterinary medical device, and you don't have to do any studies or anything to start sales and marketing. Now, the reason we're doing all these studies is to provide marketing efficacy support for the salespeople to be able to call on the dog vets, the cat vets, and the equine vets, because that's one of the advantages we have is we don't have to do any studies, but it's also the disadvantage because vets will want to say, I don't care if I injected 50 horses and I got these results. And that's a bad example because the equine vets would just believe what they see, while the small animal vets is a little different. They want to see the data supporting it.
Well, yeah, I mean endorsements go a long way, especially when you're looking at a science, right? So the more information that's out there and the more technical analysis that we have, the more informed decision making that we can make. So I think that's a critical component in the scale, really, of any type of pharmaceutical or biopharmaceutical device or device company for that matter. So we're definitely going to keep following along very closely. So John, it's always a pleasure to catch up with you. It's always great to talk about where we see the company going. I'm very much looking forward to seeing the human aspect roll out. Especially, for those of us that are very athletic and we do a lot of wear and tear to our joints, just like, dogs and cats or the equestrian community. We're looking for, as the market hunters, we look at what that long-term growth rate is for a company, not just what our day-to-day stock price is. So we're really looking at what the future over the next 3 to 5 years will be with the innovations coming out of your company. So that's, I think, one of the main purposes we like following companies at the stage that we interact with beginning, and then really kind of continuing that out to see where it goes, especially in the marketplace. So we're very much looking forward to that. So John, as always, thank you so much for joining. Is there anything you want to leave our audience with?
No, just, keep up with our website to get the latest data too.
Yeah, and follow us on Twitter too, and follow PetVivo on Twitter, because we post all of their information, and on LinkedIn as well. And if you go to our LinkedIn and our Twitter, and soon to be the Instagram when we redo our streaming to that, we actually posted some of the photos and the billboards and some of the bus stops that are going on in New York, so you can see John's company and some of the things that are going on. So it's very, very cool. And we're following right along. So John, once again, as always, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you, Hunter. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you saw it here first. Market Hunters in with John, who's the CEO of PetVivo. Really incredible stuff that they're doing. So make sure you like, subscribe, and share this. It really means a lot. Our numbers are growing every week by leaps and bounds. Our messages are getting out. We're getting great feedback from people that are not only investing in the company, but also talking to their vets and saying, Hunter, we didn't know about this technology until we heard it from you, and we went and talked to our vets because our dog is old and we want to give it a little bit of spring in its step. So this is the purpose of creating this market awareness around these companies that are really doing innovative and really intriguing technological developments in the marketplace. So as always, thank you again for joining another episode of Market Hunters, and we look forward to you joining us again this week. And make sure you follow us across all channels, because we're going to keep this stuff we're going to keep bringing you all this information on a weekly basis with these companies. So thank you for being a market hunter, and make sure you go over to our website and check out what we got going on over there. Lots of stuff where you can find all the links to these companies. So take care, and we'll see you next time right here on Market Hunters.